I was calling you lawfully wedded wife, and then once we got the papers, I would say lawfully wedded wife. But I was so excited to call you my wife. Tell everyone, this is my wife. So when I married my wife, this is my wife. This is my wife. This is Debbie, my wife.
Sometimes I think it's very important to allow and encourage those things in marriage, because through time you can be like, well, I'll do it myself or whatever can be, but to really take it more as a gesture of love, not as a requirement and not as a must.
Or a demand.
Yes, I'm not demanding. He doesn't feel pressured, but we do out of love things.
During the first years of our marriage, I remember when we were working, I would come home in the evening and the house is all with lights, little lights, nice, pleasant music. All of that really melted my heart.
I feel privileged, but if you have the option and you're passionate about family and just taking care of it, I would say do it. You won't regret it. Just cooking homemade meals, having everything clean, being on top of everything, being able to work on other projects, and even start a small business if you have extra time. So people would ask me, and even would ask you, right? Like,
yeah, someone said, what is Debbie doing anyway? Isn't she bored? There is only so much she can dust and clean in a day. Welcome to another episode on Happily Ever After. This is the Raj family. We continue to work on our interracial marriage section, and today we are going to talk on how was our experience after getting married? The thoughts that we had, did it meet or was it different? What did people say and what they said, did it come to fruition or was it different? We are going to discuss about it today. So, what are some things that you envisioned marriage was going to be like or feared marriage was going to be like?
well, a lot of people, there's a saying, or they say, that everything is nice and rosy while you're in a relationship, but when you get married, that's when the real life, the real person comes out. So I guess that was kind of like a fear in the back of my head, like, okay, we had a good time for 2 years. I think I know him pretty good, but what else will come out in married life? And I was kind of bracing for dear life to see now the real character, and from all of that gentleman boyfriend to now become a husband and kind of let go of certain things and not be as caring or romantic or whatever. So I was hoping for the best, but getting ready for the real challenge. Let's put it that way. So that was kind of where I was at. I knew that many people said marriage is for character building, marriage is really hard work, marriage, it's the real deal and it's not easy. But I didn't want those fears to keep me out of marriage. Because when I read God's plan for marriage, it was for a good reason. So I wanted to experience God's plan.
Yeah.
But I had my questions. So that's kind of where I was at. Not sure what I was getting into, but praying and hoping for the best. How was it for you?
For me, it was all great. I didn't have any type of fear, but I was anxious to know how it is going to be on the other side. Up until our wedding day, it was on this side, hoping to be on the other side, but don't know how the other side is. So I think I was more anxious to see on the other side than more of a fear, just to know, experience it. Not being married before, then all of a sudden now you're married, how is it going to be? That was more of my expectation. Expectation also, I wouldn't say fear. Let me think. No, there was nothing negative with what I thought. It was just more like, how is it all going to
expectation?
Yeah, expectations,
like
basically.
that anticipation.
Yeah, and to experience it, period. Because I know a lot of people that got married, they were excited, super excited, and they are living happily. I mean, of course, they have their own problems, and uh, they get to deal with those things and move on. Now, I'm trying to be an adult here, to be married and see on the other side of the wedding. I mean, sometimes even now, I cannot believe that I'm married, but such is life.
Yeah, I think it's like from one moment to the next, suddenly you're pronounced husband and wife, Mr.
Yeah.
and Mrs. And it's like you cannot change everything in just a moment.
Yeah.
So that moment changes your life, but it's a process. It's still a process of getting into that role and finding your journey and getting used to saying my husband, my wife. I mean, I think it's an experience that it's a new chapter. So it's going to be different and it will have adjustments. But I know that many times as a single person, you wonder, will I lose my independence? Will I lose my life? Like there's that fear of getting married and then being stuck forever in something that you're not truly yourself. How was it? Let's just share a little bit the beginning, the first weeks or months, and then kind of connect it with our life now, because now we're in our third year of marriage. And so how has it been looking back at those first days and weeks and now and everything?
The first weeks when we got married, I was so excited to tell everyone, this is my wife. And there is a joke, and not joke or made up joke. It is someone trying to say, this is my lawfully wedded wife, and then he messes it up and says lawfully wedded wife. So I was using that phrase for a while because we had to get the signature from the pastor. It got delayed by a few days because we forgot to do that on the day off because we were too excited and too occupied to remember that. But so up until we got the papers, I was calling you lawfully wedded wife, and then once we got the papers, I would say lawfully wedded wife. But I was so excited to call you my wife. Tell everyone, this is my wife. So when I married my wife, this is my wife. This is my wife. This is Debbie, my wife. I was really excited about that. And some people saw that I was excited to share that. And they also shared their point, like how they were also excited to share about their wife as well. So that part, and also to really get to know each other in an intimate level, personal level, in the same house, living in the same house, it was all very different, exciting. But as I said in the previous episode, I was still feeling like I was in clouds. Like I didn't come to realization that, okay, I am married right now. Even though we are in the same house, living under the same roof, we are sleeping in the same bed, we are eating together. I mean, eating together all happened even while we are in relationship, not necessarily in the same house, but in a common place. So, but this was a little different. And again, it was like it was all happening somewhere in my dream. I'm not sure where it is, but that is how it was. But after a couple years now, I feel like I'm a married man. I have come to
Finally, like on the third year, I think he's feeling it. Because I think it took longer for you than me. For me, it took maybe a few weeks, couple months to feel like I'm a wife. Because at the beginning, the first days, and even on our honeymoon, and then after a couple weeks, we were like, we know we're married and we're so happy, but we don't feel it. Like we know it, but it had to sink in, that feeling of now the role of a husband and a wife and just living life together. But because we had a very strong friendship before, I think it was a transition that was so smooth that it took more time to really feel the difference, because it was like, we know we are married, we know we now live together, and wake up to each other every morning. So that was different, but the rest, it was very much the same.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, it just felt so beautiful to be married to your best friend, the person you trust, you love, you've built so much with. You've gone through challenges together, you've worked through it together, you've gone to counseling together to bring tools to have a better relationship. So you really know the ups and downs. We went through health issues together before our marriage. We went through financial issues together before our marriage. We went through so much that many times others go through it in marriage. We went through it before marriage. So our marriage was like a continuation of just real life, but with the beauty of that bonding and that intimacy to another level. And so I remember that throughout our dating years, he was always a gentleman, caring, very genuine, but he was not overly, overly like, I don't know, doing extra things. So I was not expecting it to become better after marriage, but maybe a little less. And right after our wedding, he was like, now you're my wife. I'm going to open your doors every time you get in the car and before we go to places. So I want to do that for you. And I was like, oh, that's super nice. But, like, let's see how long this lasts. We're in the honeymoon. But he was faithful throughout the years. And just sometimes I think it's very important to allow and encourage those things in marriage, because through time you can be like, well, I'll do it myself or whatever can be, but to really take it more as a gesture of love, not as a requirement and not as a must.
Or a demand.
Yes, I'm not demanding. He doesn't feel pressured, but we do out of love things. And I was like, wow, he's getting better. He's much better as a husband than as a boyfriend. And I just felt that after our wedding, we just got to know each other in ways that were so much more deeper and beautiful than even the years previously with our friendship and our relationship. So that I was not expecting. I was not ready to get even better. I was hoping it would continue and maybe that it would get a little worse. I was prepared for that.
But also, I do want to point out that if you had demanded certain gestures, that would have been a turn off for me. Like if you had expected me to open doors for you, if you expected the chivalry to be there, then it would have been like, no, it's not a nice feeling for the girl to expect the guy to do, and the guy does it because of that. And also, it's not a genuine heart-filled love that is doing it, it's just doing because of demand. You know what I mean? But because you didn't expect any of those things, and I wanted to treat you like a queen, I did all those things, and I still do those things because I want you to know that you're respected, you're loved, and I admire you. All those things together, I want to do more and more and more. If I could do more, I would do more. But it is not a nice feeling when you expect me and you tell me, oh, you are supposed to do this. And me reacting or responding to that, it's not like a genuine love, at least for me. Maybe others might be fine with that. For me, it has to come from my heart, not because you're expecting me to do, And that's why I was waiting. And I also have been very careful. I don't open doors for other women in terms of getting into the car or whatnot. So I saved it specifically for you, making sure that we are getting married. After we got married, I would open the car door, close it for you, and take care of you in that aspect. And I really appreciate you for that because you were genuine and you didn't demand anything from me, and I was happy to do those things for you.
It was super meaningful. Any other aspect that comes to your mind, like after a wedding, that it was unique, unexpected, or better, or?
Well, I've always envisioned, this is before you even came into the picture in my life, I always envisioned our my marriage to be more peaceful, calm, and where I go to work, I come back home not to have to fight with the wife or have an argument or have to, how do I say, having to deal with someone that instead of dealing with or instead of struggling with someone, I wanted to come to a place where it is more calm and peaceful, a safe space. I'm okay to be vulnerable, you know. And during the first years of our marriage, I remember when we were working, I would come home in the evening and the house is all with lights, little lights, nice, pleasant music, all of that. That really melted my heart because that was not something I expected. I expected to have more peaceful environment, more calm place, maybe even have fun here and there, like playing and all of that. But I didn't expect to like come home and be unwinding, to listen to soft music and lights lit up around the house and a pleasant environment. That's something I did not expect, and to come to a house like that, I mean, I would give $1 million, or I don't know how many $1 million I could give to get that. And I'm thankful for that because you go to work, whoever, the husband or the wife or both, when they go to work, you have to deal with a whole lot of things during the day. And then when you come home, you don't want to have another fight with your spouse. You don't want to be struggling with your spouse. You don't want to like have chore issues, like, oh, you cook because I also work the whole day, so I have to get some rest. Instead of that, just come home to a peaceful place where we can unwind and take care of,
Enjoy each other.
yeah,
And
take care of each other and enjoy each other's company. I really appreciated that.
well, I'm glad. And honestly, right after, well, in our honeymoon itself, um, I had something on my bucket list I really wanted to do, and we made it happen. It was to swim with the dolphins. So in Orlando, we spent a whole day snorkeling and with the dolphins. It was truly an amazing experience because we both love water, we both love animals, and it was just like very unique. But I was already feeling under the weather before my wedding, getting all the planning done, sometimes going to bed late, just I had been working a lot, so I was kind of stressed with work. Then I took like a month off work to get ready for the wedding, and I knew that as a wife, as long as we could, if my husband could work, I only wanted to work part-time. Because for me, the home and the role of housewife and just to manage the home, that was my role. And I couldn't take care of a full-time job and keep a full-time job as a housewife and wife, especially at the beginning. But not only that, but after in our honeymoon, after a couple days, I got super sick. I had the worst cough ever. I would cough and cough in the night. It was just really bad. I wish we could go back to redo the honeymoon because to really enjoy it. But anyways, it was just so good to know that we were caring, and I had married a caring husband, so that, you know, even if it needed to be done, he would go to the living room to sleep so that he could get some sleep without the coughing instead of sending me there or just It was just a blessing in the midst of everything. But then I struggled with my health for like 3 to 5 months after we got married. So I was thinking after our marriage, after a month or so, because we got off the holidays, everything in December, so we had like a month off together, which was a huge blessing. But then after that, I was thinking, okay, by January, maybe February, I'll go back part-time to my previous job. But now there were many things on the table. Number one, my part-time job as a housewife, and managing all of that. And we had recently moved, so had to take care of a few things. Plus, for the beginning of our relationship, we had started this partnership natural healing project, which now is our family ministry.
Yeah.
And we had it on the side since the beginning of our relationship. But now we were married. We wanted to do more things in the community. We had more plans and projects. So I felt the conviction, I need to be at home and work on that. Help prepare for events, help prepare for different things. And so I will be part-time managing the family ministry business and part-time as housewife, cooking, cleaning, organizing, doing the shopping, just managing everything in the house. So that kept me pretty busy. But that was my decision. Part-time work, and we had our own ministry and business, and part-time really focus as a housewife. And I loved it. I would really take care and organize things. I would really make sure to make everything cute with whatever we had. I worked in the garden, planted so many flowers, and just, cleaned and arranged the whole thing. And then I had so many plans for that little first house we had. If we would have stayed there longer, I was planning to do a whole patio and garden, and we had a bonfire, and I wanted to fill it out with lights and just make it really nice for the evening and the summer. So having the time to do that, I think is such a beautiful role, especially if you're passionate about family. It's just, I felt privileged that you would go and work and invest the whole day doing hard work, and that you would give me the time to take care of my health those first months and never expect more than what I could at that time. And also be so grateful for, like you shared now, having a peaceful, nice environment to come to. So those were our first 7 months of marriage. And they were blissful in the sense of so perfect to what I envisioned starting a marriage. So it's not always possible. So I feel privileged. But if you have the option and you're passionate about family and just taking care of it, I would say do it. You won't regret it. Just cooking homemade meals, having everything clean, being on top of everything, being able to work on other projects, and even start a small business if you have extra time. So people would ask me, and even would ask you, right?
Yeah, someone said, what is Debbie doing anyway? Isn't she bored? There is only so much she can dust and clean in a day. I'm like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
So, yeah, people, even they would ask me what's going on? What do you do in the house the whole day? And it's well, what do you do in an office the whole day? What do you do wherever you are the whole day? If you are creative, there's always so much that can be done. And you don't just have to clean and cook. You can start a business from cooking. You can start a business if you like, digital design or whatever. So we had a coaching business. So I had a couple clients as well that I would coach. And there were so many things to be done. And in that first house, we didn't even have internet. But still, there was so much that could be done from home. So it was just amazing. And I think that it's so important to envision. And if you don't have an idea, I don't know what to do, you can always study something new. You can always work on a project and accomplish something. Write a book, write resources, start homemade products. There's an infinity of things that you can do, and time is never enough. So I don't know what it is being bored. Have you ever seen me bored?
Nope. In fact, she sometimes stresses me out with how much work she has to do. I'm like, you don't have to do all of that right now. But yeah, I've never seen her just sitting and doing nothing. It's an impossibility. I've never seen her. She might have seen me just lying down. I like to take naps, so she might have, not always, every now and then. And she would see, and even then she would be there for few minutes, and then she will be gone.
And sometimes it's you make me feel guilty, you're always so busy. And I guess I live up to my name, Debbie, which means working bee, Debbie. And always busy doing something. But I've learned from you that the value as well of unwinding and of stopping and recharging, because you can also drive yourself crazy with too many goals, too many ambitions. But the point being here is you don't have to get bored and just like die away being a housewife. You can thrive as a housewife. You can even start a business as a housewife. You can study and learn more. There's just so much. And I think it's the greatest joy and blessing and privilege if you can be one, because you can have your schedule and basically manage it the way you feel needs to be done, and not be running behind and stressed because the house is not clean, the laundry is not done, things are not taken care of. And yeah, so so that was an amazing period to start up our marriage. But
Yeah, and then later on, things changed. Right now, we both have our ministry going on, so she's not just
full-time.
a housewife anymore.
Yes.
And life has its own way of dealing with things, and it's not always the way that we want it to be. Some people would love to be housewives, but they might not be able to, at least at that time. And some people want to work, but they end up being housewives. So
Make the
life has its
best.
way of life has its way of putting curveballs. How do you deal with it? That's the important point. And then, in the beginning of our marriage, I used to work. She stayed home, but she also used to do part-time job. But now it's not the same way. We both work from home and we both have full-time. Now it's a totally different story. We have to keep each other accountable that we don't overwork because we both are really driven in terms of achieving goals and keeping up with everything. So we have to remind each other, hey, we need to cool off a little bit, like come back, pull back from working so much so that we can spend some more time with ourselves. Or else we can go 24 hours working together, keep working and working and working.
So it can be exciting, but also it has its challenges. And definitely now, on our second year of marriage, so basically, our first year had the blissful start, and then it had a lot of transitioning happening. So we had to wait a lot and see how things were going to work. And it was a little stressful at times, moments, but we also learned and saw it as God was preparing us for the next step, that it was going to be to start kind of full-time, start the ministry, and just jump on board full-heartedly in any startup of a business, of a entrepreneurial work, ministry. Takes a lot of effort and takes a lot of temperance, because you can really become intemperate and lose your health and yourself and your family in the process. So that's something that we have been really working on, time management and boundaries for keeping our marriage and our relationship and our health strong by God's grace. So
So how would you say you feel right now compared to the beginning of our marriage? Like personally, how do you feel?
in a way, I feel very fulfilled because I know we are in God's will for us. And I feel very grateful because in a way I feel we've lived together for like decades. The only thing we are missing is children, but so many other things I feel we've gone through, and we've just learned so much and grown so much spiritually and in our faith journey, and just seeing God work and learning to trust Him and follow His will. So I feel very rich in the experience and very at peace in the present time where God has us. And I just feel we have matured and grown a lot. And definitely there are areas that we still need to work in our marriage. Not everything is blissful. But I just feel more and more secure in what God has given us, and more sure of this union than ever before.
I feel the same thing too, because initially it was all that hyped up feelings and vibe, and we are in the honeymoon phase and all of that. Now I feel like we have a more mature way of living as a husband and wife than just, than just those blissful moments. We do have our blissful moments, we do have our challenging moments, but I feel more settled in who we are and what we do and how we both are husband and wife. I have more confidence in you, and like, even if someone tries to swoop you off, I know that they are not going to be able to do, because I know where you stand. And so I am more at peace knowing that there is no um, competition for me, but knowing that, okay, this is someone God has given me, I'm going to take care of her for the rest of my life. And I think that is how people should be as well, instead of being fearful, because there are going to be, whether it is a guy or a girl, there's going to be always someone trying to come and try to impress. In fact, uh, we've come across guys that want to be closer to you because they know you longer than I know you. And that's foolishness. But then there are going to be crazy people trying to do those things. But am I shaken with those things? No, because that peace, that settled peace is there in me, that I don't have to worry about those things. Now, if someone had done like that in the beginning of our marriage or during our relationship time, I would have kind of like felt even more frustrated and um, uh, concerned. Right now, it is not a concern. It's just like, come on, people, you need to really grow up. God honors marriage, and there are people trying to destroy that mindset and want to come into marriage. Yeah.
So, in few words, how would we end this episode sharing how has it been married life? Now we're in our third year. How would we summarize it for someone that is wondering, how is it in the other side of the fence, Because when you're single, you're like, how is married life? And then when you're married, well, you remember your singleness, but many people say, well, those that are married actually want to go back to be
I
single,
know.
and those that are single always are wanting. So everyone is wanting the other side. What would we say at this point?
I definitely wouldn't say that, because it's a very bad joke. I shouldn't have said it, but I have said it in places that people looked at me weirdly. And I think I shared it with you also, right? Even before we got into a relationship, I said, well, this is a common understanding among people. People outside, like, marriage is like a public toilet. People outside are wanting to go in quickly, and people inside are wanting to come out quickly. And I wouldn't say that is anywhere close to our experience. I really have enjoyed our marriage, and to sum it up, I would say it's been an amazing journey. I'm amazed at how God brought us together, even from small things to big things, how we match. And of course, we have to put our efforts in. It doesn't happen by itself, but also with God leading us in our individual life, as a couple together, and also in our ministry life. I'm just amazed.
That's so beautiful. I would say as well, like, I would not think at all that I want to go back to being single, because single was a beautiful experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like, I'm happy I didn't get married when I was 20, because I experienced a lot through those years. But do I feel I want to go back because I'm not happy where I'm at? No. I'm very happy, fulfilled, grateful. And I really feel just so thankful of what God has done. And I really see it as a miracle. A miracle of how God brought our lives together. A miracle of how, till now, after 4 or 5 years of knowing each other, and in our third year of marriage, like, just to see sometimes things how we align, and to be like, wow, God really planned it so well. Like, we aligned we match so perfectly with our differences. We still unite in core things so well. And it's almost like impossible to humanly make it align so well. So I just see it as the greatest miracle God has allowed in my life. And now together He's showing us more miracles. And yeah, the miracle of love, it's my conclusive statement. God is good, and it's such a blessing. Like, I think after we got married, I understood a little better. Number one, that God's plan for marriage is good. Number two, that it's a beautiful thing God invented. From the friendship and the emotional connection to the spiritual uplifting impact we can have on each other to the physical intimacy God designed. It's like, praise God, He made marriage. It's such a beauty, such a joy.
Yeah.
But let God do it, the miracle, because it has also a very dark side many times on this world of sin when it's not in that surrender God's will process.
We have come to the end of this episode, and we will see you in the next episode. Until then, this is bye from Martin and Debbie. This is the Raj family.